All right, everybody. This is the second episode of the Jivetalk podcast. We got Wiley on here today. Our signature special guest. Andy's back. Shaden's back. We have LaCroix this time. We're not sponsored yet. We're waiting. I hope I do actually get sponsored at some point. That would be freaking awesome.
I think we should. We need to have a drink sponsor.
Okay, everybody who listened to the second one knows who Shaden and Andy are, but Wiley, introduce yourself.
Wiley Karras. I've been rodeoing my whole life, and we're here to talk about the subject and the magnificent sport it is that doesn't get recognized.
Yeah, that's the main goal of this time. It's just to show that it's actually pretty hard to do, and it hurts a lot. That's what we learned last time, right, Andy?
Oh, yeah. Forget that. I'm out.
He says.
Oh, I don't like LaCroix.
You're missing
I forgot
out,
about that. It's like, it tastes like
lemon and
flavored
vanilla.
water.
Yeah, that's what it is, bud.
It doesn't taste good, though.
That's why nobody buys it.
Yeah, I buy it all the time. It's good, man.
It tastes barely like lemon.
It's mainly vanilla.
Why do you think I drink that?
It does taste like vanilla, though. That is true. Okay. Anyway, back to the topic on rodeo. Wiley, we have some questions for you.
Shoot.
But do you want to say anything before I start asking questions?
No, go for it. Ask
Okay.
anything you want.
Let's see what's first. We have some from Grace here. What does this say? Does that say Wifey Podcast? Is that what that says? Wiley Podcast. Okay, good. Okay, so the first question, I think she asked this one last time. What do you wish the people at your high school knew about rodeo?
That it's really a sport, you know. It's a sport. It's a sport and it's a hobby and a lifestyle, kind of all in one, man. You know, it's you're a different breed. You know what I mean? It's a different deal, and you know, like I said, it's a hobby and a lifestyle. There's a lot of stuff that goes into it, a lot of time, and it's pretty competitive, and like there's a lot that goes into it. A lot of people don't realize, and a lot of people don't really like I said, a lot of people don't really see it as a sport, but you know it is. It's it's competitive.
Yeah, and I think a thing that adds on to that is that it's not like school, nothing to do with school.
No, yeah, exactly. Like not a lot of people know about it, and that's why our Washington State Association, it's kind of our own deal. Like we have our own prom, we have our own scholarships, like a lot of deals that go into it, and
it's like your own event. Like it's like sports times 10.
Yeah,
it is what I've learned. Yeah.
You know, it's like track. There's a lot of different events that goes into it, and it's pretty cool, man. You know.
I don't know like how I should format this question because I don't have it written down. But I was gonna ask you like how deep have you gotten into rodeo? Like I'm assuming like if that makes sense.
Like how much how much time and effort have I put
Yeah,
into
like
it?
how much have you invested into rodeo?
Oh. Money wise or life wise?
Just all of it. All of it.
It was a lot, man. It's gotten to the point where when I was in high school, like, okay, do I want to take a path to play college football or college rodeo? And you know, rodeo will kind of always be there because it's a sport outside of school and college, and you know, obviously, you know, it's a lot harder to get in the NFL. You know, and you can amateur rodeo outside of school and stuff, but it's that was a tough decision for me because it was like, you know, what are the chances of me actually, you know, being good at college football and trying to go that path? But then I was like, you know what, I think I need to go the rodeo path. 'Cause like I said, it's a lifestyle and a hobby, kind of, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a lot. Like yeah.
It plays around the aspect of you know, like my family owns cows, and it's like we grew up around that lifestyle and just always been around it. So that's like, yeah, I spent a lot of time, money, a lot of time in the arena outside of it, physically and academically.
Yeah, and like, has your family been doing it for forever? Like,
you know, on my mom's side, they've always kind of been as like I said about hobbies and lifestyles, they were more of like racehorse people, of like the breeding part of it. Like they've always been ranchers and farmers on my mom's side of it. My dad's side, he did it a little bit when he was younger, but never really got into it. So I was kind of brought up around it, and you know, I always rodeoed my whole life, but my parents got divorced when I was pretty young, and there was a pretty big separation there. Like I did it when I was young. Little rodeos when I was a kid, then there was a huge gap when I didn't do it at all, and I really got back into it my 8th grade year. I started going hard, then I been going at it ever since till now. But no, I'm kind of the first person to really kind of take it seriously.
So like unlike Shaden's family who's been doing it for forever.
Yeah.
You're like Brandy, like Kaiser kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Because Kaiser's, I mean, you're older, so
Right.
you've probably been doing it longer. Well,
Right.
How long you been doing it?
It's like I said, I've been doing it my whole life, but when I finally like took it serious,
Yeah, like when you actually started like doing it. Like,
it's kind of funny. I was in 6th grade at a Toppenish livestock show, and this one kid, I know him till this day. I'm not going to say his name. Well, you guys don't even know him. I'll tell you later. But he rodeos. He's a team roper, and I won a buckle that year. I'd never won a rodeo buckle, never nothing. And he's looking at mine. It was a showing buckle, and that's the awards, buckles.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, like, what'd you get that in?" I'm like, "Oh, showing." I was like, "Oh, I got mine in roping." He's like, that'd be nice if you got one rodeoing. But so he's kind of like making fun of me a little bit, And ever since that, I kind of had that mentality, like, all right, like I want to show this kid, like I'm gonna start.
That's what I learned from the last one. It's like a friendly competitive type thing.
It is, man. It's different from football. If you have
your rivals aren't really your rivals.
Right, exactly. It's
your rivals are your friends.
Right. There's certain people in that, like I steer wrestle, like we kind of have our own group. Like we always cheer each other on, and it's an individual competitive sport, but you'll go out there and whack a steer down, be 4 seconds flat, win the rodeo, and then all your buddies are sitting there cheering you on, and that's your competition. Like that's what's cool about it. That's what I love it. It's different from being on a football field. You have 11 guys in the field, 11 counting you, 10, this rest of your buddies, and you're going out there smacking a team, but it's different. But that's why I love it.
Yeah, because like for a team sport, it's like, you got to rely on the rest of your team.
Right.
It's your whole team getting cheered on, not just you.
Right. Exactly.
And then once you start like freaking doing rodeo, it's like it's just you. You got to do it.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it's like if you mess this up, and what's always crazy to me about rodeo is that it's like you train all this time for a 4-second like interval.
Exactly. That's why I do multiple events. Like I steer wrestle, I team rope, and I calf rope. But yeah, it's one go and it's done. Depending on where you're at, if you're at a jackpot or something, it's like a little smaller deal, but it's just there could be more runs at it, more goes. Like you do it more than once. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, if you're at an amateur rodeo or a series or something, you only do it once. But I can break that down a little bit more and explain that to you. But yeah. It's one go and you got to make it happen.
Yeah, you should. We had Kaiser and Shaden explain their events that they do. You should explain like what goes down at your events, what you do, stuff like that.
So steer wrestling, there's 2 horses, 2 guys, 1 steer. It's in the chute. I can like draw it out for you in a little bit. I can explain it, but you're in like a cornered box and you're coming out. On the left side of the horse, your hazers and not compete at all. It's just a guy to keep that steer in the middle. So like you nod, your steer comes out, both horses kind of meet out in the middle of that steer out in the arena. They kind of run by it. The one on the left side gets off. He catches the steer by the horns. If he comes off, if you do it right, safely, your feet land in front of you. You have to change the direction of the steer and lay him down on his side. And if all 4 feet are out and the steer's on its side, that's the run's done. You have to change the direction of the cattle and lay him down.
And so what does Kaiser do? Because that sounds similar.
He shoot dogs. Yeah, that's the same thing. That's like a lower version of it.
Oh, okay.
Like you kind of start you start out doing that and learning that, then you move to like coming off a horse doing it, like going 35 miles an hour down the arena. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Yeah. Same concept, but that you come out of a chute, you have a hold of him and you lay him down. But
so you've already got a hold of him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then in this one, you're jumping off a horse and doing it.
Jumping off a horse, 35 miles an hour, right on the back of the steer.
Sounds insane.
That's steer wrestling. Team roping. And this is the only event in rodeo that involves 2 guys. They're both competing with not competing with each other. They're competing against other teams, but they're
it's a team sport.
Yeah. Well, same concept. You're in the box. You're in a box. There's a chute in the middle. They let the steer out. One's on the left side. He's the header. He ropes the horns. Pulls the steer to the left with his horse. There's a guy on the right side. He's on a horse. He ropes the 2 back feet, which is the heeler, and then they both have to be facing the same directions. Both ropes have to be tied, and the steer has to be stretched, and that's the end of the run. That's team roping. That's
do you normally focus on one of the sides or whatever? Or are you a header? Or
I'm a header. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you normally just do that.
Yep. What do you mean? I just do that? Like that event or just?
No, like
that,
you just are a
that,
header.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just a header.
Because
Well,
it's like,
I've do it before, but
does it take different types of skill to do either
it
one?
does. It's in the roping world. We always talk like headings. Heading's the easiest one to do, in my opinion, because it's depending on where you are, where your zone is, where your cattle's at, like how big of a loop you have. It's because it's just right there in front of you. Like all you gotta do is catch, but it's the hardest. It's the hardest in a way. Like you have to a lot of you have a lot to do because you have to make sure that steer's slowed down for your heeler to get a shot because that steer's hopping as you're pulling it, and so you have to handle that steer. Well, you have to ask for you nod when they let the steer out. You have to know like. Well, that's another deal in rodeo. You have to know like your animals too. You have to know what steer you had. You have to.
Yeah, that's what I learned a lot from the last one. It's like it's all about.
Right.
It's not just the human.
Right. You have to know what your steer does. So you have to know how fast he's gonna go. You got to go out there, rope it, slow it down, and give your heeler a shot. Not too fast or not too slow. But then heeling, it's the easiest to do because all you have to do is wait for your partner to catch and then set your steer up for you. But if your steer doesn't want to hop and just drags, that's a lot harder because if it's something's jumping, it's easier to set a trap as we call it.
Yeah.
And like set your loop up when you throw at it. You know what I mean? For it to jump in.
Yeah,
there.
like you put it like on the floor and.
Right. Like you're swinging it and you're throwing down at it. You know what I mean? But like if your partner pulls the steer too fast or doesn't give you a good handle as we call it, then it's a lot harder to be a heeler. But you have to we call it counting hops and counting feet. But yeah, I heel too. I should have said I just had, but you have to count feet. You have to know like your placement of where you're at because if you're too close and you throw such a big trap, that steer can hop out of it. And if you don't, your saddle horn, if you don't wrap too soon, that steer could hop out of it, or you can, if run happens too fast, you could lose your rope. There's a lot that goes into it.
And this all happens in what, the span of like.
Right, it's this.
Like
I mean,
15 seconds, like. Or is this a little bit longer?
Faster than that? Like I've seen guys doing 3 seconds. It's crazy. But like I said, those guys.
And you're going like 35 miles an hour the whole time.
Right. It's Usually I think my fastest has been like 5 seconds team roping. Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah,
that's a lot to think of in that in a span of like,
it is.
Yeah.
But like I said, like if you do it and you've been doing it forever, it's
just muscle memory.
Yep,
yeah,
exactly.
And then you said you did 3 events, right?
Yeah, calf roping. So it's the same concept. You're in a box, but you have a calf now. No horns. I should have clarified that. Steer wrestling, team roping, you have a steer. It's got
with
horns.
Yeah.
Calf roping, it's a calf, obviously, no horns. And you're in the right side of the box this time, and same concept. You see your start, let the calf out, nod for it. You rope it around the neck. You stop your horse. You pitch your coils out. That way the calf hits fine. You don't hurt it. You get off as that's happening. You run down the rope, flank your calf, land him on his side, and string the front right foot, and then gather your back legs and wrap him. 2 wraps in a hoop.
That's what I was telling my parents about, like how I did this podcast, and I was like, I talked about rodeo, and I talked to Kaiser, and then they thought that's what he did.
Right.
And I was like, I don't think that's what he was talking about.
Well, everybody always sees, like they'll ask me, "Oh, you rodeo? Do you rope and tie him up real fast like that?" That's
the stereotypical thing.
Yeah.
See, I just thought of another question because last time we talked about like, does the human ever die? Like, because this is a dangerous sport, but does the animal ever die?
There's been times, yes, like if a major accident happens, it can be a run goes bad or the arena's not in good condition. But it's a lot of people, it's a different topic to people. Rodeo is cruel on animals. I can disagree with that because these animals are trained and selected to do this. Like they're not just, hey, like we're gonna grab this calf that's only 200 pounds and we're gonna go out there and rope him and hurt him.
Yeah, strangle him and.
Yeah, it's like these animals are trained and selected. If they didn't think they could do it, they wouldn't do it. Like we're not just
throwing out random animals.
And like the stock contractors, like the guys that bring the animals. They
No.
like that's their life. Like, you know, that's their job, like to bring those animals, train them, and then bring them to the rodeos. That's their life to that's how they make their money and their living. So like they have to have good animals and they have to take care of them and train them.
Yeah, because it's not just a human sport. It's
No,
50,
no, it's
50.
and then that's the argument, you know, like just some people are always it's cruel on animals. You guys don't care about them. No, like it's not.
Yeah,
you know,
a
it's-
lot.
There's a
a
lot,
lot
that
of
goes
money
into it. People
and a
doesn't
lot
understand.
of time.
Yeah, exactly. And rough stocky, especially, there's two types of people that rodeo. Like me and Shaden, we're timed event people, and then there's the rough stock people that ride the bulls and the bucking horses. Right.
Mhm, yeah.
Those animals are
The more famous people. we
right.
could say.
They're the cooler people. Those animals are the most trained out of them all because they know the game. They know what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to go out there, buck for 8 seconds, dump the rider off, and then we're back to the catch pen. We're back to our pens, like we're fine. But yeah,
Yeah.
to answer your question, yes, animals have been hurt. Some have died. It's just major freak accidents.
Have you ever seen an animal die before?
I've seen
Or is it serious injuries or anything? Like
yeah,
that?
I've seen severe injuries where it was like, you know, in order to, you know, we just had to put the animal down. I think it was a steer at the Pendleton Roundup. It got a horse slipped and they just kind of ran into each other. I think the horse got hurt pretty bad too, but you know, they had to put that steer down. You know, just they didn't want it suffering.
Yeah, I'm assuming a horse
Yeah.
is a lot bigger than a steer.
Right. But yes, I have seen it a few times.
Man, that's probably really brutal to the people that raised it. Where
It
it's
is,
like,
and,
oh,
and
man, we
that's
just-
what I mean, man. It's like you know, like I just absolutely hate when people are, you know, just preach. This is so cruel on animals. It's not. Like these stock contractors, like love, like they have to take care of these.
Yeah, it's like
animals,
their
'cause
kids.
it's that's their money and their source because you know, like they're stock contractors. They don't have another option. That's why they do this for a living. But they have to have trained animals and they take care of them. Believe it or not.
Yeah, like I talked to Shaden last time about like getting sick, like them getting sick and stuff. How you spend so much money and time just taking care of
yeah,
them.
you have to. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, that's.
They're the reason why, you know, we have this sport today. You know,
It's
that's-
not like canceled.
Right.
This isn't canceled yet. Because
exactly.
the animals aren't hurt.
No, exactly, and it's and you know that's way back when. That's kind of how rodeo, you know, essentially got started. It's you know it's not just a guy going out there wrestling a steer for the heck of it. It's if you were out way back in the 1800s and there was a cow that needed to be doctored or something, or you needed to know if that was yours. You didn't have a rope to rope it or do whatever. You had to climb off a horse going 35 miles an hour and stop it and do what you had to do. But same thing roping wise, team roping and calf roping. It's all stuff that it's the purpose and it's the sport. And
I think
it's a lifestyle.
What I've learned is that like a lot of the like primal sports, if that makes sense, seem like the more fun ones.
Right.
Like the ones where you get hurt, the ones where you have like just fun.
Right.
Because it's like like football, you're just hitting other people.
Mm-hmm.
Rodeo, you're freaking like jumping off horses and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's just like it's those ones where you challenge yourself and not try to get hurt, but like you're gonna get hurt, but you're gonna get back up.
Yeah. No, exactly. And
it's like that's what makes them so good.
Right.
And that's basically what rodeo is. Just don't do it. Try again.
It's exactly. You gotta. You're gonna have good days and bad days. A quote I live by. It's the only rodeo that matters is the next one, and you're gonna have bad days and you're gonna have. I've been on both sides of it. I've been on the winning side and the losing side, and there's times where like, why am I doing this? Like, why can't I just play football instead? But
why am I wasting my life?
Yeah, why am I wasting
getting
my
hurt
money? Why am I getting hurt? Is exactly.
But then and then you just come back to it and you're like, man, I don't regret like anything.
Oh, exactly. Yeah, absolutely.
That's. I'm not one for rodeo. I'm very look at me. I'm freaking tiny. But okay, let's answer another question. I don't know what this says. I can't read handwriting.
What's the most
expensive thing you've ever won?
Yeah.
What's the most expensive thing you ever won?
Oh, it'd probably just be a saddle.
I've heard saddles are really expensive.
They are, especially when if you win a certificate for a saddle, and you add money to it, like decorating how you want it, then it gets really expensive. I had I went to the World Finals last year, and I had a certificate for my saddle. And the saddle was already basically paid for, but I got excited because I hadn't won that saddle for that association in a long time, and I just wanted to go all out, and I went all out, and it was pretty expensive.
Yeah.
I got a little ahead of myself, but yeah, probably a saddle.
Here we got a worst injury on here.
Worst injury. I kind of jinxed myself this spring, but I hadn't really gotten hurt too bad. Like the only physical thing I really do is steer wrestling. Team roping, you might lose a thumb, but that's if you do it wrong. But this spring,
only a thumb.
Yeah, only a thumb, a digit or two. I was at Basin City 3 weeks ago, and I was steer wrestling, and like I said, like when you nod for your animal, you have to know like how fast he is and stuff. And so like when you're in the box, there's a thing called the barrier. It's a string that runs in front of your box, where there's another rope attached to your steer. It's not choking it. It's just it comes off fairly easy. And there's a line. It's like there's like 8 feet of rope or 6 feet, whatever the case is, whatever road you're at. That's the head start of that steer. You're supposed to give him a head start. If you go too soon, there's a pin that's connected to that string. If you break it too soon, that means like you broke the barrier. That's 10 seconds added to your run. So that's a speeding ticket. That's another way you can do bad. But I knew my steer. I thought my steer started really slow, so I wanted him to go all the way out. If they go past where they're supposed to go of that barrier, which is like we asked about it, what's the score of that box, like what's the measurements, we'll say 6 and under or 4 and under, like if it's 8 feet or 4 feet or 6 feet or so on and so forth.
Yeah.
I knew my steer started slow, and the score was 6 feet, so I saw him to 6 feet. We went down, and he was very fast and very small too, and I'm a 220-pound guy. I got off very fast, and these cattle were just fairly new and trained, and I caught him. I got off, I caught him by his horns, my feet hit out in front of me, and he was so light and so weak that he quit, and the rest of his back end hit over me, and my knee hyperextended out, and I tore my ACL. But yeah, it was pretty bad, and I think I did, but I haven't went to the doctor, because like I said, it's rodeo. You can't quit, and I'm in a tight spot right now, especially with state standings, so I can't.
You can't risk it, yeah.
But yeah, I was talking to some doctor and stuff, and they're like, well, if that part hurts, you probably tore it, man. And I've been having treatments with it. I've been heating and ice, but nothing too major. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's tearing my ACL.
At least you haven't broken any bones or anything.
No, exactly. Yeah, I'm thankful on that part. But
yeah, because I that seems like the most common thing. Like break your legs, break your arms,
right?
Something
exactly.
like that. Yeah. But ACL's not. It's still limiting, but it's not terrible.
Right. No, I made it this far.
That
was 3 weeks ago. Yeah, I'm still walking around. I'm fine.
Okay. So we have questions from Shaden about before the rodeo, like what you do to train your horse and stuff. So that's the first question. What do you do to train your horse? If you train it yourself, I don't know if you do or not.
Like what do you mean by train?
Just how do you train your horse? Like what?
How do you take care of it? What
for their event that you're training?
Just the few horses I've already bought were already trained, but just practice consistently, keeping them legged up. They're athletes too, so they gotta have exercise and be in shape, same as you. I just ride them around, try to keep them legged up in shape. Simpler words, as much as possible. That's about it. Practice too. I'll go out to Toppenish or some friends' houses, and if they have cattle, we'll steer wrestle or we'll team rope, whatever the case might be. Keeping them. They're animals, so they got to be on the same level. Know their job, and my horses know what their job is when they go in that box, whether they're roping or steer wrestling, whatever the case is.
Do you have different horses for different events?
I do. I have one horse that just steer wrestles. And then I have, several horses. I got 2 rope horses. They do either ends. I can head off them or heel off of them, and I can calf rope off either one of them. But I just have, because steer wrestling, there's different horses needed for like each events. Like Shade knows, you can't just you can't just T-rope off a barrel horse that's been doing it a while, you know what I mean? Because some horses are like a little stronger, and you know they might not. Because like I said, when you're roping, you have to rate like your horse, like slowing down so you can catch your steer. But if a steer wrestling horse, his job is just to go by that steer and set you up. Like, you know, like it's when that steer wrestling horse sees that steer, he's like, I have one mission. It's run by that steer as fast as I can.
Yeah.
And you know, make sure get this guy off in his spot and I'm gone. Like that's their job. And you know, it's if that's all he's doing and you have a rope back there and he doesn't know that, he's just gonna go by that steer and you're gonna
So if you bring the wrong horse,
right, exactly.
No.
But like, how do you train them to like know what they're supposed to do?
Just we'll have like a fake steer that's like pulled behind a four-wheeler, it's got wheels and stuff, and we'll train them you know, with tracking it, just following it, you know, start swinging a rope off it, get them comfortable to it.
It's just
and
a lot of it sounds a lot repetitive.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's just, you know, you're not going to go out there and get in a boxing match just without knowing anything to do, right? You're going to train on a dummy, you know, have people help you out. But yeah, that's about it. It's called the Smarty roping dummy. We'll track our horses behind that, get them used to that, then we'll move into slower cattle, then faster cattle, and so on and so forth. Yeah.
This has nothing to do with it, but I found out my dad went to school with your mom. And he knew like exactly what she did and like everything. It was really weird. I was like, I had Shaden on my podcast and he's like, oh, I went to school with her mom. It's like, it's so weird.
That's random.
And then he was like, yeah, she did barrels. And I was like, oh, Shaden said she did barrels. So do you guys just do barrels? Like,
No.
Is that like your family thing?
No, we do barrels and we rope.
He also knew that you were third generation too. He like knew all this stuff about you. It was really
That's weird.
Okay, so here's another question. How do you desensitize your horse?
Just you can, and like just get them calm. Is that what you mean? Like get them, just get them used to it. I mean, if something scares them.
Yeah, has your horse ever freaked out before? Like, is that a common thing? Do horses freak out?
Yeah, it's just like, you know, if something caught your attention by surprise, you know, you're kind of like, whoa,
yeah, or
like, what happened?
Do horses get nervous?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm not trying to make it sound weird. I got one horse. He gets severely nervous before every rodeo, and he gets diarrhea really, really bad. And I don't know why. It's just they know, man. I mean, like I said, they're animals, but horses are by far, you know, the most. I don't know the word to describe them, but I think they're the smartest animal, you know, to be honest with you. Like, they know when it's rodeo time or whether you're practicing or not, in my opinion. But, you know, if something scares them and stuff, I like to keep, whatever it is, to keep scaring them just so they know it's not going to hurt them. Like, if you have a young horse and something scares it, like, what's to describe it? Yeah, a plastic bag or something's in the road or it's a loud noise. I want to keep them around it like, look, this isn't going to hurt you. Yeah, there's a plastic bag on the fence that's flopping in the wind, making a weird noise. You know, they're gonna look at it, they're gonna snort, and just like, you know, what is that? And just getting them used to it. It's like, look, this isn't gonna hurt you,
keep
man.
showing it
yeah,
to them,
like this isn't gonna hurt you.
Okay, let's see another question on here. What's a good one? Let's see. I don't know. Do you know much about breaking horses, like wild horses and things like that?
I mean, I'm not sure they're
Babies,
breaking wild horses,
but
I got a colt at the house. It's just kind of taking them slow in the process. It's not just, you know, Mr. Gabriel's old Western class, you know, seeing them just hop on them, you know, like throw a saddle on them and
like,
it's
have that emotional scene,
right, you know, like Lonesome
Dove,
you know, woo-ha. But there's a lot process that goes into it. I mean, you know, it's it's the bond, like, you know, they have to trust you and, you know, accept you. So you got to take it slow. You know, you got to start by, you know, halter breaking them, you know, leading them around, and you start with that, you know, get them comfortable to that when they're pretty young. Just creating that bond, letting them know, like, you know, like we're going to be friends. You know, like, I'm not going to hurt you. And you start by your saddle pad. Getting them used to it. And this is what I do. I'm not saying like this is the way you do it. This is the way I do it. The way I was taught. Like everybody has their own opinions, and there's more than one way to skin a cat. Yeah, my bad. What
a saying! What a saying!
I just keep getting them used to just step by step, and I'll grab a saddle pad, start putting that on them, and then I'll put a saddle on them. But I won't get on them that soon, depending on what their age is or how good they're cooperating to. Like every horse can cooperate different. Like I got one that's just coming on phenomenal, and he's never bucked on me just because I took everything slow. He's been a little scared here and there, but I mean you got to remember they're kids too. Like if they're 1 or 2 years old, it's like same like in dog years. They're a lot older than that, but they're still 1 and 2 years old. You know what I mean?
Still young.
Right. It's just taking it slow, getting them used to stuff. Start step by step, just doing it the right way. I should say. Like I said, I should say the right way, but if you want everything to go smoother and just a lot safer too, you got to do it. You got to take everything slow. And like I said, I'll throw a saddle on them. I'll just get them used to that. They might buck a little bit, like what is this? What is this? And as long as you're there, just kind of walking them through it. I have a flag too that I'll like pet them with it. If I want to like walk them around with it, just keep them getting them used to it. But then if I feel like they've really got that under, I'll start by putting one foot in the stirrup. The hole where you put your foot in.
Yeah.
I'll put all my weight. I won't swing a leg over and get on them. I'll just stand up in that stirrup. I'll pet them. I'll pet their butt. I'll pet their front over their head, and I'll grab the other stirrup. I'll flop it around. Just little stuff, getting them used to just every other little thing. But just break it down. Then if I feel like they're ready, I'll swing a leg over, and then what happens from there is who knows. But
have you been bucked off a horse before?
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Several times.
Have you been kicked by a horse? That's my greatest fear.
I have. I've been kicked on the ground, cinching a horse.
Like you've walked behind a horse before?
I haven't been kicked by walking behind a horse like that. Usually, if don't walk behind a horse. We walk behind horses all the time. I mean, if you're comfortable with that horse, the horse is a little watchy and stuff. Some people, hey, watch that horse. Like he's a little watchy. But no, I haven't been kicked like that. I've been kicked. It's not a rodeo event, but I work in the arena as a pickup man. So the guys that ride the bucking horses, either saddle bronc or bareback, those are the two different ones. Bareback, your hands in a leather rigging, as we call it, and you're riding your horse for 8 seconds. Then the other one, saddle bronc, you're in a saddle, you're holding on to a rein, but bareback, you're just hold on to the rig and that's it. Anyways, I'm the pickup man. I'm the guys that help those guys get off the horses midway through so they don't get hurt. So there's 2 guys in the arena, and then there's the bucking horse. He'll come out, we let him ride for 8 seconds, and then we come in there and get him off that horse, help that horse get out of the arena safely. And we wear big chaps, and they have yoga padding in them, but I've been kicked by a horse several times. Like after you get that rider, they're bucking horses.
So you're basically wearing armor.
Yeah, basically, and just for protection, that's why we have it. And I've been kicked several times by just a horse going by, getting a guy off of him, and then stopping. I had a horse kick me this past weekend. Actually, I got a welt like right here on my leg. But yeah, I've been kicked several times.
Yeah, that doesn't sound fun. Not at all.
No.
Here, let's see. Can you ride during the winter?
Yeah. Depending on where you're at. I mean,
here we don't get that much snow.
Right. Is it like, do I ride in the winter during a rodeo, or just like in general, like do I ride in the winter?
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot you were asking the question, not Grace. I'm like, what? Yeah. Depending on what I'm doing, if I'm working at a ranch or something, and a cow can't take care of itself, so we got to go out there and check them. I'll ride my horses out there. It's depending on if there's a lot of snow or not. If there's a real bad winter storm, probably not. But if there's a situation where a cow needs doctored, and we have to go out there with a horse, rope it, lay her down and take care of her. But yeah, I'll ride in the winter.
Yeah, especially around here when we don't have that much bad snow.
No,
it's just cold.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a good question. How do you prepare yourself mentally?
Yeah, I just try. I mean, I try to just tune everything out and focus on my run. It's not really a quote, but it's just a mental thing. I think about my start, my catch, and my finish. Especially steer wrestling. That's the only thing I get nervous for. Team roping, calf roping, I'm not nervous for, but just steer wrestling is kind of my main event that I like to focus on. That I've been doing a while. I'll put my headphones in, my AirPods, and I'll just listen to music, trying to just tune everything out, depending on where I'm at. I've been to the world finals, high school world finals 3 times, and it's pretty mentally. I think you get pretty nervous, especially when you make it back to the short round. You know, the final cut of people.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like cross country. It's like
it is like it's just like
put your headphones in. You're about to do
down.
something.
Yeah, exactly.
Like freaking crazy,
right?
And
exactly.
you just got to get ready for it.
But yeah, I'll think about my run, what I'm supposed to do. Like I said, there's a lot that goes into it. You know, you got to know what steer you drew, what that steer does, who ran him maybe the night before, and know if he has any tricks or anything. Like, you know, is he strong or is he fast, or is he a good steer that'll have a lot of action to fall faster, just stuff like that. I tune everything out and just focus on my run. That's how I get prepared.
Yeah, that sounds like a lot. And how much time? Well, I'm assuming it differs. Like, do you have a lot of time to prepare for your event, or like?
Oh yeah, you know, it's kind of different where you go to what rodeo you go to too, because there could be a lot of different events. Like me and Shaden rodeo out at Toppenish, CW, RRA, and there's like I don't know how many barrel racers. There's a lot. And steer wrestling's one of the last events, but you go somewhere else, steer wrestling could be you know, the second event or third event, but it depends how many people are in the other events too. Like that one, like I said, I don't steer wrestle for like 6 hours out there because there's other events and it's dead last. But it's depending on where you're at, you should get a lot of time. But even the night before, I just like to prepare. You know what weekend it is to what rodeo I'm at. There's a lot there's a lot of time to prepare. I mean, I think you should be. You should never wait till the last minute. Like, oh hey, like I forgot. You know what I mean?
I forgot. I'm freaking about to die.
Yeah.
Here is another thing. Do family or friends help you get ready?
Oh yeah, my mom and dad both help me out. My friends too.
Yeah, do you ever just hang out with your friends, try to get your mind off of it or something? Like,
oh yeah, especially if you have a bad run. I'm extremely competitive, and I always I never really think about the good runs too much. I always think about like the bad ones. Like man, I should have done that right. I should have done that right. And I try to go out and relax. Like we'll have a roping dummy that's on the ground. You just rope it, you know, on the ground with friends, and I'll go do that. I just take my mind off it. But yeah, that's about it. I like to be around my friends if something bad happens, just to take my mind off it and forget. But it's pretty hard.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's like something that you always do with sports and stuff like that, where it's like, oh, you never look at the good.
Right. Exactly.
You always look at the bad. It's like, oh, my worst throw or something like in discus.
Exactly.
It's like, oh, my worst throw was this, but my best throw was really good.
Absolutely.
But that doesn't matter.
No, absolutely.
Because my worst was that, yeah. And well, you've already answered this question. Is there ways you can practice without the animals? And you just said, like, you just go out there and rope and
yeah,
on dummies and things.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like any other sport. You know, I'll try to lift weights when I can. Try to eat healthier. I mean, as I'm eating Swedish fish and drinking Diet Pepsi. Yeah, I like to still just stay tuned up, try to stay in shape, and yeah, like I said, keep my horses in shape.
Yeah, is that a lot? That has a lot to do with rodeo, staying in shape and
yeah, absolutely,
being physically healthy and things like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Just like any other sport.
Yeah, just like any other sport.
Except for chess or something.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Get like a chess person to go and do rodeo.
Right. Be mentally breaking it down.
This is a really long question. When riding rough stock, how do you know which one to pick so you can try to have a good ride?
What do they mean by that?
What
did you write down?
Like, how do you, like, well, none of us are roughies, so.
I can kind of break it down, though.
Like, when you pick the calf that you want, right? Or steer?
No, you get drawn. So, there's, depending on where they're at and how they do it, but there's like a list of those. We'll just say steer wrestling, for example. She's talking about rough stock, but okay, let's say there's 10 bull riders and there's like 15 bulls. Each bull will have a number, and they'll sit there like with, you know, either it's typically usually a hat. They'll put all those numbers in there. It's like, all right, what kid's going first? All right, let's just say Andy's a bull rider. All right, Andy's going first.
All right, Andy.
Yeah, Andy's a bull rider. It's like, all right, all those bulls, the numbers of those ear tags of the bulls are in here. It's like, all right, stern it up. All right, Andy, you get 115. And that could be either, it's the luck of the draw, as we call it. Like, you know, But I'll just break this down first. Andy, right? You got 115. That's that's a pretty pretty extreme bull. That's what you drew. You get what you get. It's not like I want that one or I want that one. You can do that in a practice pen. You can't do that at a rodeo though.
You don't know your bull that you're riding.
No, you don't. Well, you don't know it until after you get drawn. Then you can get prepared. Like it's always. It sucks to be the first guy out and you draw something that you don't know, especially if you go somewhere. But if it's the second day, like at a high school rodeo, I typically like to be last. And depending on where you're at too, each steer could do the same thing, but you never know. I'm trying to put a lot of stuff together for it to make sense, but no, you should know what you have, and then try to go. You could ask the stock contractor, hey, what's steer number 15 do? And you're like, okay, he runs straight, he runs fast, but when you catch him, he's going to be light and you can throw him really easy. Or hey, you got steer number 13, he's pretty strong.
So it's kind of like a work with what you get.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what I mean by it's say you're up Saturday, you go, you have a good run, then next Sunday you can see who had that steer yesterday. Like, oh hey, he went and threw that steer in 4 seconds. That's the best steer in the pen. I just drew him. Like, hey, let's go. Or man, I drew number 12. That's a strong steer. Like, I gotta pull something out of my butt.
Yeah. So it's that sounds like a lot of that doesn't sound like skill.
It's the luck of the draw. It's what you get.
Man, that rodeo's got everything. It's got skill, luck.
Yeah. Oh, it does, absolutely. It's
skill, luck, yeah.
The world finals last year, it still kind of gets me mentally a little bit. I was the first person out at Guthrie, Oklahoma in the Lazy E Indoor Arena. First out in the steer wrestling, and I went out. I didn't know. Well, when you get there, you don't know because you're all the way down. I was all the way down in Oklahoma. I didn't know the steers or anything. I knew they were going to throw good, but first year I went out, threw in 5 seconds flat. I was sitting 9th in the world, made it back whilst you get 2 steers down there, and if you do good on both those, you're in the top 20. You make it back to run a 3rd steer in the short go, as we call it, the average, the short go, the final round.
Yeah, the semifinals.
Yep. And I seen what steer I had. You can watch film on your steer, go watch. It's pretty high tech down there. You can go watch who had your steer before, and I went and checked my draw. They'll have what steer you drew on a big wall in one of the buildings. And I went and seen my steer, and I just remember me and my dad's faces. We seen the steer I had. Every other kid had a time on their steers, and nobody had a time on my steer. And I was like,
no, that's not good.
I was like, okay, maybe something happened. Maybe it's not just a steer. And I checked the other performance, no time again. And then the other time was 20 seconds. That's very long. And steer wrestling happens average is 5 seconds, or 4's fast, 3's wicked fast. That's a very, very good steer. And you're 20 seconds. I'm like, man, this steer's got to be strong. Sure enough, it was the second go. I was sitting 9th in the world. Went out there, scored good, caught my steer, slid him, and he was severely strong. And I mean, it was I just right as when you can feel them too. If they're gonna be strong or fighting, and I laid him over at 15 seconds flat. Took me out of the average. Took me out of everything.
So you lost it all just a lot.
Oh yeah, just that simple. And it was just all the cattle were down there were phenomenal. I mean, it was. But I had to have been 4 seconds or faster just to make it back to the 3rd round. So I had to have drawn something good. There wasn't much I could have done, but that's the way it goes.
That's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
Because it's on cross country or track or something. It's you don't have a bad discus that just doesn't exist.
No.
Kinda.
Yeah.
I mean maybe.
But not to that extent. I mean, I can pick a good or a bad discus in that situation, but in Wiley's case, he was screwed. So yeah, that's not on him, and you can't beat yourself up about that. I mean, right. I bet you did.
Oh yeah,
But you shouldn't have.
Right.
So
it's just gambling. You don't know what that dude's got in his hand. Then, You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's
that's what rodeo is. It's a big gamble.
Yeah, it's just, man, I just couldn't imagine the feeling of
Oh man,
when you see that there's no time, and then it's just uh-oh.
It was a gut-turning feeling, man, I'll tell you.
Yeah, that's not. You want that one? Okay, here we go. Do you have stuff to protect your horse in any way?
Mm-hmm. We mainly just keeping their feet good, dude. I mean, all they're doing is running and using their strength, depending on if you're roping or steer wrestling. Just I keep my horses wrapped up on all their feet. It's kind of like big ankle braces, and we call them splint boots. We wrap them around. It's cushioned, it's padded. It's just
It's like shoes.
yeah. It's like here's their hoof. We like strap up this part right here. Like it's legit like an ankle brace, like legit an ankle brace. But we call them splint boots, and then bell boots. It wraps around a layer part on the bottom of the hoof. If there's like rocks, if they overreach, like running too fast, it just keeps cushion and protection. Just like if you're wearing an ankle brace, literally, it's just exactly
like
that.
A human. Yeah, it's like protecting a human. Yeah,
absolutely.
That's weird. And like we talked about horseshoeing and stuff. Do the horses wear horseshoes or no?
Yeah.
Because I don't know much about horses. So like, do they always wear horseshoes? Like, is it required?
No, but it's
it helps.
Yeah, it does help. I mean, depending on your horse, too. I mean, 80% of the people, in the world will probably have shoes on their horses. Unless you got a pretty stout-footed horse, that's just genetically it could be that way too. But it's
like horseshoes are like changing your tires.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Typically, I get mine changed every like 6 weeks.
That sounds a lot.
Well, because like
their
feet, their hooves grow, and you can't just leave it on there because then it masses out and it could, cause an internal infection. But there's a certain layer of the foot, we're not just cutting their toenails down and making them hurt. There's a layer of the foot where they don't feel it, but you could do it wrong if you were. I'm not a horseshoer.
This is what we talked about last time. I have a friend. Did you know Mason Bauer? Yeah, he's going to horseshoeing school.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Really? That's cool.
And I was like, I didn't know you had to go to school for it.
Yeah.
And then it turns out it takes a lot of skill to be able to do it.
Oh, it does. You got to do bone analogy. I mean, it's a horse's foot. You got to know like what's sensitive and what's not.
When I heard he was going to horseshoeing school, I thought like the game horseshoes. Like he's just playing horseshoes. Like
that's funny.
He goes to like college parties and just plays horseshoes and makes money that way. That's what he does.
That's just a gamble.
So wait, Wiley, before we get to this next question, you said you changed them.
Mm-hmm.
You get a new set of 4, you don't use the same ones?
No. Yeah.
Just because, they wear out?
Yeah, they wear out.
Are they like custom made?
Yes. Every shoe depends on... I'm not a shoer. Like it's the size of your horse's foot. There could be a certain type of horseshoe that you might want typically too. It all depends on your horse. But... every horse's foot's different, so like you might have, if a horse has a foot, like this, that's perfect, or like this, like you gotta make it. That's why I'm not a horseshoer. Mason might know like each horse has a different foot, and he'll probably learn that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, how many like species of horses do you know?
There's like breeds typically.
Yeah, breeds. How many breeds of horses do you know? Off the top of your head.
Quarter horse, thoroughbreds, drafts, half drafts, warm bloods, Missouri foxtrotters. There's a lot.
I only know one.
What's that?
Tennessee Walker.
Tennessee Walker. Are you playing Red Dead a little bit?
Yeah.
Quarter horses are typically what is used in rodeo. But except for like barrel racing, like some barrel horses could use thoroughbreds. It's a running breed.
Mm-hmm.
Quarter horses are usually like more built and like muscular.
Mm-hmm.
You're not gonna see a guy at a rodeo with a Clydesdale. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like one of the fancy ones. Yeah.
Unless you're a pickup man, like what I am, then there was a bull in the arena after the ride doesn't want to leave. Like I'd want a draft to pull the bull out. You know what I mean?
Yeah, draft horse. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard of draft horses too. Those ones are the big ones, right?
Yeah.
Like freaking massive.
Yeah.
They're like a mastiff's a dog.
Yeah. That's the equivalent.
Equivalent to.
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's see what else. Which one of these have I not answered or asked yet?
How do you get ready for a rodeo?
Yeah, just how do you get ready for one?
Depending on what I should never really depend on what rodeo it is. I never take some time off, but I'll practice. Usually I steer wrestle on Wednesdays. I'll rope on Thursdays. I try to typically just kind of just stay prepared. You know, it's like practice. Just
do you do a lot of research into like what, like an event you're going to, like because you know you go to a bunch of different rodeos, like, not just hopping it.
Mainly just stock contracting wise, like okay, who has the cattle this week? And like, oh man, he brings always them fast steers. Like okay, I better start like working on like I said about the start in the box. All right, I better start like get my horse tuned up. Like all right, the second I nod my head, like we got to be going after that steer. And like
So
okay,
yeah, you got to let your horse know.
Yeah, I just gotta stay prepared for just whatever it's gonna be from that way. Or all right, like it might rain this weekend. Like I prepare for weather wise, cattle wise, like just everything.
Yeah, because if it's like raining, then there's mud and
yeah,
all this other stuff
there's not much you can do. But yeah, I just stay prepared just for whatever it throws at me. I just practice, get prepared mentally. Like I got state finals coming up this next weekend, and I got to practice this week and get prepared for that.
I bet you wash your clothes a lot.
Oh yeah, yeah. Sure, it gets pretty dirty.
So wait, what do you normally wear at a rodeo? Is there like a uniform or something? Yeah.
You have to be in. High school rodeo is pretty strict about it. An hour before and after the rodeo, you have to be in Western attire, long sleeve Western shirt, boots, jeans, and a hat, a cowboy hat. Usually in the fall, you'll wear felt. I prefer you to, just OCD kind of deal.
Yeah. Well, I like how you have to wear a cowboy hat.
But yeah, you have to.
That sounds more like tradition rather than
a little bit. Just keeps it's even in our handbook too for the National High School Rodeo Association. It's keeping the Western tradition alive. The one out in Toppenish, they don't require it there, but usually a big amateur put on rodeo, you're required, if you're in the arena, you have to be in Western attire, as we call it. Yeah.
So wait, what's the shirt? It's just a long sleeve shirt?
Yeah, a long sleeve button up shirt. It's checker. You could have your own style with it. I'm a pretty plaid shirt type of dude, either single color. Like I usually wear black, gray, or white.
Yeah, it's like not very like
unless
extravagant.
I'm at this past weekend I was in Glenwood and it rained hard. And I had the ugliest shirt I never really wore, and I went out.
Could you show up with like bright pink, like freaking hot pink?
Yeah, we have a breast cancer awareness usually on one of the rodeos. We call it "Who's Tough Enough to Wear Pink." I do have a bright pink shirt.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. I would wear that every time.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. No. There's actually a guy. It's a professional rodeo cowboy, Tyson Durfee. He calf ropes him. Only thing he wears is bright pink. That's it.
Yeah, you gotta make yourself known.
Yep, bright pink. That's it. That's all he wears.
Well, I mean, it works because you know him for wearing bright pink.
Yeah, exactly.
So it works.
Yeah.
Let's see. Do I have any more questions on here?
Ask your own questions.
I don't know. I don't really have any more questions. Do you have anything you want to talk about? Any story? Any interesting things you've experienced while doing rodeo?
Not
any
really,
crazy
man.
story? Any crazy injuries that you've seen? What's the freaking craziest injury you've ever seen?
I seen it. It was last year at the World Finals in Guthrie, Oklahoma. There was the bull riding. And it was after I was knocked out of the short go. I was just trying to take my mind off stuff. I was watching the bull riding, and I've seen this a few times actually, just especially bull riding. But this kid, when you're bull riding, your hands in a rope, the bull rope. There's a part where it's like this basically. You stick your hand in that, and then there's another deal that comes around like a loop. You stick your rope through that, you pull it back, and you wrap around your hand. It's called suicide wrap, and there's rosin on it. Which is a sticky, like a charcoal rock rosin,
Yeah.
and it's really sticky. And this kid came out. He was making a good ride. He got thrown off this bull, and he was hung up, still attached to it. The bull knocked him out, just hit him. He was done, still hanging up there. And
So he just got knocked out?
Yeah, he's got knocked out. He was still hanging up there. And the bullfighters were trying to get up there and pop his hand out, try to get his suicide wrap off, and he hung around for a solid 3 minutes. It was bad. Pickup man tried
just
to rope
getting
the bull.
drug around.
Oh, just getting drug around, slashing around him. He was pretty messed. Ripped his chaps off. Ripped his He was just messed up head to toe, and they had to life light him. And I think he's still good. I remember talking to his dad this past winter. at a midwinter board meeting. I'm the president of Washington State, the high school association. I met him down there because he was talking. They brought up that topic.
Just barely. Throw that in there.
Yeah.
You're the president.
But they were talking about the caliber of bulls, and that bull was too extreme. But that kid he life flighted, and it was pretty scary. And it was just you pay the price to play the game. So.
Yeah, that's just the brutality.
Yeah.
Of rodeo,
that's
I guess.
why I don't ride bulls, but
yeah, bull riding seems a little scary.
it does. I mean, it's like you're probably bound to get hurt at it at one point unless you're really that good. But you're definitely playing with the rough
I mean, it's a
side of it.
bull. It's like 3 times the size of you. It's like,
that's like you could draw a bull that's pretty nice and cooperates with you, but you could get one that's pretty mean and hot-headed and just doesn't want to cooperate with you.
So you said, like, do they train the bulls just to do that, just to like freak out? Well, freak out.
No,
quote unquote?
it's pretty genetically. Like a lot of guys say, "Well, it's bull red. I'm mad at red." It's just genetically. A bull doesn't care. They're colorblind. They don't know what color is what, and it's just. Like for Spain and stuff, those are we call them toros. Just the Mexican word for them, toros. Those are genetically. There's a family tree that goes on about that. It's a kind of interesting story. But those bulls are like bred like mean. It's just genetics. They're just mean. And bucking bulls, I don't know the certain breed for them. That's not typically Brahma, but Brahmas are genetically they're pretty mean, but. No, they're just trained to go out there and buck, man. But I mean, some bull could just be a little hotter. And I've seen bulls you can go in the pen with them, brush them, pet them, whatever. But like I said, they're trained mentally. And they go in that chute, they have one job. It's this dude's on my back, I got to knock him off, and then I'm good. Like, I'm going to my pen, whatever.
Yeah.
And I've seen bulls where they'll turn around and they'll pin a guy up against the ground and, mash him into the dirt. And it's just genetics, basically, man. But no, they're trained in one thing. It's getting that chute. All right, second that gate opens, I got one mission. Let's get this dude off my back and I'm gone.
Yeah, so one thing I've learned here today is don't do bull riding.
No, don't, man. It's just, I mean, if you got the passion for it and the drive, it's kudos to you, man.
And you have the health insurance to support
that too.
yourself?
I mean, it's in a way, it's the cheaper way to go, because besides medical bills. But I mean, if you're safe at it and you stay safe and you keep winning, it's a good way to go. But all you have to do is you go pay your fees to ride. You go and get on your bull and you go home. Team roping, and just the timed event side of the arena. You got to pay for your horse, your hay, your horseshoes, your entry fees,
everything.
Yeah. And then if you go and have a bad run, and then you're really done. And then you're going on to the next rodeo, more money down the road. It's not a really kind of break even event.
But bull riding, you just boom one payment.
Go and get on your bull and gone. That's it. Then if you win, you're really doing good. But
you also got to pay multiple thousands of dollars in health insurance.
Yeah, exactly. If you get hurt, then man, you're done.
Do they have like rodeo insurance? I bet that exists.
Well, there's insurance at the rodeos, but you have to sign a waiver before you enter up that rodeo. So,
like every rodeo you go to, you sign a waiver.
If I'm in an association, you just sign it once. But if you're typically somewhere else, there's already. Well, a lot of days now, it's just you sign up online and you pay with a debit card or credit card. When you go to that home page of hopefully that rodeo, there's already a deal there. It says this is if you enter this rodeo, yada yada yada, you cannot sue blah blah blah. If you get hurt, it's not on us.
Yeah. All right. I think class is about to end, so we'll finish it up there. Thank you everybody for. Episode 2 of the Jivetalk podcast. We finally did it. You've been asking for this for a while.
I have been asking for this for a while.
And we finally did it.
Yes, sir.
All right. I don't know what to say. I'm just going to end it.